welcome here at HCB Legacy. We are doing right now interviews with wrestlers that came from an international level, and sometimes they have been in Hungary before and sometimes not. So please welcome Mila Smidt.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for joining here. Because it's your first time, what I have just learned from you in Hungary, and also maybe some of the HCW fans that are gonna attend to the shows of ours, could you please describe yourself for the people that don't know you, maybe on a personal level, where do you come from, just some general and basic information about you so we get to know you a bit better.
Sure. Well, my name is Mila Smidt. I'm 27 years old. I come from France, like a small city near Strasbourg, close to the German border. So it's been like now my 9 years into professional wrestling. I've been wrestling all over the world, basically, especially Europe, of course, but a bit everywhere. I've been collecting titles. I've been like making history with the girls, building women's division that I'm really proud of. I'm always like super happy to make my debut in a new country like Hungary today. Besides that, I come from Olympic wrestling, so I have a huge background in that. I've been there like competing and stuff for over 12 years. Come from Olympic wrestling family as well. Everybody wrestles in my family, so just like
wrestling with family is another thing for you then, huh?
Yes. Not pro wrestling though, so it's like Olympic wrestling, but you know, wrestling is wrestling.
And basically, as you have this background, I wanted to have a follow-up question, that what inspired you to join to professional wrestling from Olympic wrestling? Because as I learned that you were quite an athlete before doing this part, so what inspired you to join to professional one?
Well, it's quite simple actually. Like I started like looking at pro wrestling on TV when I was a kid. I remember I was like 9 or 10 years old, and I remember falling in love with that sport because of the women who were like so pretty, so beautiful, so, you know, like feminine and stuff, and then once in the ring they were like super badass and doing like big moves and big stuff, and I was like, I love that contrast. And as soon as I saw it, even as a kid, I was like, oh, that's the type of woman I want to become when I grow up, you know. So it was like, and then since that moment I was like, I want to be a wrestler, you know. So I started doing Olympic wrestling because it was in my family, and then I turned into pro. I met my coaches and stuff, and like Tom LaRufa, who's still my mentor in the business since I'm 14. So even before I started training pro wrestling, because he comes from Olympic wrestling as well. So yeah, it was just like a thing. It was as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's what I want to do with my life.
I absolutely understand that, because basically loads of us watched it on the TV, and you know, in the US, when it comes to wrestling, they already had the facilities. However, as a European, you could sometimes face difficulties just to join in. Were there any federations or academies around you, or you just met with the right people at the right time and then you were going around the world, or how was it looking?
Well, that's a funny story, because from where I come from, like in the area where I am in France, like there's absolutely nothing on that, like real schools and stuff, you know. With pro wrestling is like still not a part of France when there's a lot of things going on, even today. So it starts building, but it's still not there, slowly but surely. But when I started, there was almost nothing, so I had to move. And first, I remember when I was like 13, 14, I started looking on Facebook, like all the wrestlers, yeah, like the wrestlers, French guys and girls that I could find, if I could find a trainer. That's how I found my first coach, like the man who made me take my first bumps, who was Booster, you know, from ICWA. That his school back in the days was INFC. And there was this concept of having like intensive seminars, which was like a 1 month seminar where we were training every day, all day, every day. So it was like from 9 to 12, from even 102 to 6, 7, like the whole day and stuff. And he eventually gave me my first match, because I was like, thanks to Olympic wrestling, I got ready pretty quickly to get in the ring. So he gave me my first match, and then it just, the next seminar I did was in another company in Paris this time, because Booster was in the north of France, so I did like the travel and stuff. And then I did that seminar with Tom LaRufa, who's, like, as I mentioned, my mentor. And I started training, and I went on with bookings. I didn't have a lot of bookings in the first year because I was still competing in Olympic wrestling, doing my studies and all that.
Simultaneously, you were doing
yes.
both. Wow.
Yes, and I was doing like bikini contests on that year, so I was doing a lot of things. I was in how do I say, sports university to become like personal trainer and stuff. So we had a lot of sports going on there as well. It was complicated. So I did like 4 matches, and then I broke my knee. For a year, I was 1 year out, and then I came back. I did a few matches. Marc Mercier gave me like my matches back in after my injury. I'll be forever grateful because he really is the man who put me back on the road. And then I got my first tryout with WWE, and then it just went on.
It's funny that you were mentioning something about injury, because I just wanted to ask that when it comes to especially this kind of entertainment or even the sports as an athlete itself, if you're injured and you're out for half a year, you have to go through not just the physical rehabilitation but also mentally. What was something that you could focus on not to get really down and just keep fighting? Was there anything special? Well,
first it's part of my character, because the way I've been trained and educated my whole life was Olympic wrestling was, it's a lot of discipline, it's a lot of put your emotions aside and just focus on what you have to do. Do what has to be done no matter what, no matter how you feel. So there's a lot of that I already learned from Olympic wrestling through all the years in competition. Like I competed injured a couple of times, so it was my biggest injury so far, because I had to go through surgery and stuff. That was new to me, so that was the mental part. But I was used to being injured and competing that way and being hurt. Like pain was not, the physical pain was not something I was afraid of. Now the mental part was because it was long recovery. I was out for a year, so now it was difficult because of the time, not because of the pain itself, but just because how long it was taking. So, and it was the beginning of my career. Like I was so green. I only had 4 matches, and I was like, I want to get back in the ring. Like there's no way my career stops before even starting, you know what I mean? So it was like, I'm going to get back on shape. I'm going to get back like in the ring, and I'm going to be like,
And then years later, here you are, and traveling the world and visiting different countries. First time here in Hungary. So
yeah.
I just wanted to ask that, how do you feel? Is there any cultural differences whenever you're going to different promotions or different countries that you may face as difficulties, or maybe as wrestling it unites us and you don't really see that? How is it wrestling in different promotions and traveling around?
Well, I think that's also the beauty of the indies, is that every promotion, even in one country, every promotion works a bit differently, has like his own codes or his own like way to work, or like what he wants for the crowd, and sometimes different crowd as well. And it's also different from a country to another, like what people like in Germany won't be exactly the same as what people like in France or in Hungary,
or
in
reacting and stuff.
So that's the cool thing about wrestling, is that you constantly need to adapt. Like every week is different, every crowd is different, every promotion is different. Every time like you step in the ring, it's a new challenge in a way, and that's what I like about it, because there's no routine really. Like every time, even if you cross sometimes the same people or you work with the same people in the ring and stuff, it's still different, because the story of the match has to be different, everything has to be different. So I like the fact that I keep on learning every time I step in the ring,
And that's a really good ability, and I would say that meeting with new people, being quite international, we have one common language, which is wrestling, so it's really nice. But as we are in Hungary, I have to put you in a spot. How have you heard about basically HCW or Hungarian wrestling, and did you met with any of the basic talents of Hungarian wrestling before, and what do you think about just Hungarian wrestling in general?
Yeah,
even if
sure.
you're first time here and you will experience the show later, better? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I can't talk really about the crowd yet because I haven't been in the ring, but like of course I met like a lot of Hungarian talents like in Europe all over the years, like even when I just started, you know, because in Europe we all kind of cross each other. It's like a small world, everybody kind of knows each other after a while, so that's also the cool thing about the indies. So yeah, I met them like a couple of times. That's how I heard about the promotion of like wrestling in Hungary in general. It was like through them, through the workers, through social networks as well. Like, and I felt like the product was really looking professional, and I'm really excited to make my debuts. Like I know some of the girls already. There's a Orsi, I don't know her yet in the ring. I met Eva a couple of times in the ring already, so I kind of know what to expect, but I'm excited to see what will happen.
We are also excited to see you the first time here, and we hope that you're gonna come back. But before I would let you go, I'm just curious of your what would you say for the young girls out there that want to start wrestling? How should they approach this? What can they do? Because you also started watching the divas in the television, and now here you are. What would your message would be for them?
First, I would say the road might be long sometimes, and it's like life in general. It's like a lot of ups and downs. But just never quit. Work hard, and sometimes as a woman, you need to work harder. You need to make twice as a job just to get noticed and to get respected in the ring. You know, like prove yourself a bit more than some guys, especially like, you know, when you're a big guy who's muscular and stuff and you look good, it's kind of easier to get respected and get noticed. Like as a woman, now you're gonna have to work hard. That doesn't mean it won't work, just like show them. You just go there and show them. Work on your studies, don't let them down for anything, because you never know what can happen. Like injuries can happen really fast. Also, it's a lifestyle that doesn't fit to everybody, and that sometimes people don't realize before being in it, you know, because we're on the road all the time. You need to know, if you want to do this as a full-time job, you need to know what to expect, and you need to sacrifice a lot, and you need to be ready for it. So learn your English, go to the gym, diet. Work hard in the ring, like stand out, stay yourself, because that what makes you stand out. You know, don't try to fit in and do like everybody else, or be the second version of the girls you like the most in the ring, or your favorite diva or whatever. Be the first version of yourself, and like be the best version of yourself. That's what I say. That's
a really good message, and while you were saying it, I was also thinking about that. But you have mentioned that, you know, as a woman you face difficulties, but how do you see women wrestling in the future? Because now wrestling is growing around the world, also in Europe and also around the world, but how do you see women wrestling in the future, for maybe in the next 5-10 years? I don't want to put you on the spot, so you don't worry about it. It's just...
Well, first I'd like to clarify something, is like we all go through obstacles in wrestling, men or women. It's just that I don't know if it's I would say, I don't know if it's harder for us or harder for the guys. I'm not saying like, oh, one is, you know, worse than the other. I'm just saying we just face different obstacles through the business, you know, because, you know, we experience things like differently. Now, well, for women's divisions, and you know, there's a lot of women's division growing up a little bit everywhere, and that's so good to see. So good to see. I think like the young girls who start now sometimes don't realize the chance they have, because 10 years ago we couldn't wrestle every weekend. Yes. Like we didn't have, like, first year I started, I had 4 matches. You know, when I came back from injury, then I did the W tryout, and so I got noticed, and then I got, you know, more bookings. But now they just start, and if they start in the right way, and if they work hard, and if they start in the right school, or if they know the right people, they can wrestle every week. You know, that's sometimes they don't realize anymore, is that we work so hard for this, and I think like it's just growing and growing, and I'm feeling it's good to see. So I think if the girls are still coming up and still working and have like good mentality and stuff, and stay hungry, because that's the thing, you need to stay hungry no matter where you are in your career. So I think if it keeps going that way, it's going to be better and better.
And if you just motivate one Olympic wrestler girl to just, you know, try out pro wrestling, we are more than welcome to welcome it anywhere around the world. So I would say that thank you very much for being here. I hope you're gonna have an amazing time in Hungary,
Thank you
and
for
I hope that
having
we
me.
can see you again after this show.
Of
okay?
course,
Thank you
my
very much.
pleasure. Thank you so much.